Hello, welcome to our first Pilates mat class. We're going to start out with some standing work today. So you can use a couple different tools. If you have a band, we want to focus on something that's a little bit heavier. So I like to just fold a band in half so that there's not a lot of bounce. Basically, we're just using it to connect with the upper body, connect with the shoulders. So it's not about, how far you can pull on that band. In fact, we want very little give into that band. Otherwise, you can use just a little hand towel if you are not too tall. If you're really tall, this might be a little narrow for you, but you can just grab it kind of cross-cornered here and use it as a form of tension. Or you can make your very own little resistance towel here. So this one, I cut a bath mat in half and then cut it in thirds and braided it. And it's a good length. It's wide enough that I can really open up my shoulders, and it can give me a little bit of tension, but it doesn't have a lot of bounce. It's really about having that enough give to activate the shoulders and give you a little bit of movement, but not enough that it's going to create this bouncing motion. So find something else you can use. You can use a belt. You can use like the band from like your robe, anything that works here. All right, so we're going to start out with just a little bit of centering before we start to move. So I want you to find your stance, feet out about a hip distance apart. And as we're holding here, we just want to think about swaying from right to left and just finding that center. So making that sway a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller until you feel that spot where you feel like you're standing on both feet evenly. Now I'm on an uneven surface, so it's going to feel a little off, but we're going to try to stay there, find our center still. And now we want to lean forward and then back into the heels, and same thing, making that sway just a little bit smaller every time you sway until you find the sense of weight towards the back of the heels. I want to keep the ball of my foot anchored, but my toes can lift up. My toes are nice and light. And I want to feel this sense of lift from the inner arches of my feet. As my toes rise up, you can kind of see my ankle lift. That engages through my inner thighs, my quads, and then gives me this lift up through the front of the body. So I want to feel from my pubic bone to my belly button, this kind of internal connection. Then from there, I'm lifting up through the shoulders, lifting up through the ribs, and out through the crown of the head. And as everything lifts through the front of the body, we start to feel that down the back of the body. So I want to feel this just slight anchoring at the occipital. The shoulder blades kind of fall down and back, which allows my collarbones to get nice and wide. My tailbone is reaching down towards my heels, and my heels are going to stay heavy. So it's kind of your center point here. It might not feel super natural, but it's where we want to stay as we start to connect here. So the next thing we're going to do is focus on your breath. So breath in Pilates, we want to think in through the nose, out through your mouth, and you want to find that exhale where it's really active, where you're using that breath and exhaling as far as you can until you feel that work go all the way down to that low belly. So it's going to be an in through the nose. And let's start with a little pull of the towel. So as we inhale, I want you to pull tight, and then as you exhale, open up that mouth, let that towel get soft as we breathe out. So not doing a lot of work here, just connecting with the breath. Beautiful. Now from there, we're going to go into some shoulder rolls. So still keeping our towel kind of loose, we're going to go up and back with the shoulders. Inhale as the shoulders rise. Exhale, set the shoulders back. Beautiful. Now let's keep those shoulders down and just take a look over one shoulder, bringing that chin kind of down as we rotate, and then coming back to center, rotating, looking over the other shoulder, and just drawing that chin down and trying to keep the shoulders steady as the head's rotating. Let's do one more on each side. Beautiful. As we come back to center, now we're going to start to work on a little more shoulder activation. So as we hold on to our prop, whether it's your band or your towel, we want to just bring it right in front of the thighs. The knuckles are reaching down, and we have a nice grip around the towel with all of your fingers. Not a really tight grip. We're not trying to squeeze it to death. We're not trying to overwork our hands or our forearms. We just want enough that we feel that we're really connecting with that towel. It's creating this closed chain, which is going to allow us to activate the upper body. So the knuckles are reaching down. We want to make sure we're not letting those wrists fold. The elbows are slightly softened, so they're rotating out. And then we want to connect with the upper back. We're gonna take a nice deep breath in here. And then as we exhale, this time is where we're gonna add that pull. Inhale as we release. Exhale as you pull. So that release isn't really big. It's just about letting go of some of that tension so that when we exhale and pull, we're really finding that pull from the back, the full pull from the back of the arms. Let's go for 4 more. Last 3. Last 2. One last one. Now as we hold it tight here, we want to keep some tension on that towel. As we inhale, this time the arms are going to reach straight out to shoulder height, and then exhale and lower. So I'm going to change my perspective here so that when you reach forward, I want you to notice, do you tend to dump into your lower back? Do you tend to want to go here? Do you tend to want to pop those ribs forward? So really focus on staying connected through the core. Even though we're working on the arms, we still want to feel that sense of the tailbone reaching down, belly staying in and up. Let's do 2 more. Bring it back to the thighs, release some of that tension, and just do a few little shoulder rolls there. All right, so now we're gonna start at that shoulder height. So the knuckles are reaching forward, knuckles are right in line with the shoulders, staying connected through your center. We're doing that same pull, so we're going to inhale to prepare. As you exhale, pull on that towel. Inhale as you soften. Exhale and pull. Now if you feel your shoulders rising up, maybe drop your arms a little bit lower. We want to really feel this in between the shoulder blades, more towards the lower back than the upper back or upper neck. We've got 4 more here. Exhale and pull. Inhale and soften. Last 2. Last 1. Now from here, we're going to start with a little elbow bend. So let's start with that left arm. As we inhale, the elbow bends, it draws straight back. Try not to let it drop down. It stays up in line with the shoulder. Exhale, press it forward. Switching side to side. And lower those arms. Roll those shoulders around and back. All right, so we're gonna go to a second set there. This time bending both of the elbows, maintaining those same principles. So we're keeping some tension on the towel, knuckles stay reaching out. As we inhale, we're gonna bend the elbows stay lifted, that towel comes towards the chest as far as it can without losing tension, and then exhale, pull as you press away. Inhale, bend. Three more here. Last 2. And last 1. And lower. Whew, the shoulders should be getting nice and warm by now. So now we're going to start taking that towel overhead, or taking that movement overhead. So starting with the arms straight out in front of you. Again, we want to watch that posture, that stabilization. So as I bring my arms overhead, I'm inhaling. I want to feel, we're just going to pause here for a second. I want to feel my rib cage soften down. I want to feel that lift up through my low belly. Shoulders are staying down as the arms reach up. So I'm not letting my shoulders rise up around my ears. I want to keep that length, keep that space between my shoulders and my ears. We're going to start with 6. So you're just going to lower on the inhale. Rise up. Feel how that exhale helps you connect with the belly, helps you keep those ribs steady as we're working. Last 3. 2. And on that last one, we're going to keep that towel overhead. Shoulders are down, neck is nice and long. Those knuckles are reaching up towards the ceiling or towards the sky. Shoulder blades are sliding down, and as we exhale again, we're gonna start with those pulls. So as I pull, again, don't wanna let my shoulders rise up. I wanna keep the shoulders down, that space between my ears and my arms nice and open, and just making sure that as I pull, I feel that work going all the way down my back. Those shoulder blades are connecting. My entire back is activated. I want to feel that length down through the tip of the tailbone. Last 3, 2, and 1. On that last one, we're going to keep it tight. Inhale, as you bend your elbows, we want that towel to come down so it's right over the top of the shoulders. Exhale as we reach up. Inhale, lower. You're not pulling too far back, you're traveling in a straight line. If you have a lot of shoulder mobility, it's easy to really go into some hyperextension here. We want to make sure that the arms travel straight up overhead. They should be back enough that you can see your earlobes in front of your arms, but not way back here. Last 2. Last 1. Reach. And then from there, we're going to lift the chest just slightly, keep those shoulders down. This time we're bringing it right to the chest. Inhale as it bends. The knuckles are still reaching up. Keep that belly tight as you exhale. It brushes just in front of your face as it goes up. Feel the rib cage soften down as the arms extend. 3 more here. Last 2. Last 1. Arms reach. Let's take a minute, bring it back behind your neck. Just shake those shoulders out. All right, looking good. My towel is falling apart on me. All right, so from there, we're gonna do a little work behind the back, going into some chest expansion, and then we're gonna get into some squats, getting into some leg work. So with that towel here, we're gonna just work it so that it comes all the way behind your back. So if you need to, you can kind of go one arm at a time. So once I'm there, my palms are facing out. I'm gonna turn so that my palms face in towards my body. I'm gonna wrap my band or my towel around the back of my hands and then just reach those knuckles towards the ground. So this one is really important that you focus on that rib to hip connection. We're not letting the chest expand forward. We're opening up those shoulders and not letting the shoulders internally rotate as we work here. So we're gonna put a little bit of tension on that. So push out against your band. Your knuckles are still reaching down. The elbows are slightly softened. So we want to think of slightly lifting through the sternum, but without popping those ribs out. And as we exhale, we're going to push the hands away from you. Inhale back in. So there's a lot going on. This is really dynamic. We're pushing out, we're pushing back, but opening up the chest. Reaching the knuckles down as the arms press back. It's not about how far you can go. It's about how can you open the chest? How can you stay connected? Crown of the head continues to reach up as we press for 4, 3, 2, and as we press back, let's hold it there. Reach those knuckles down. Crown of the head lengthens up. And we're going to do little pulses back for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it all the way back in, and then just work it back up and over. Okay, so from there, we're going to take it into some squats. So we want to be about a hip distance apart, maybe a little external rotation. And we're gonna start with that towel right in front of your thighs, or your band right in front of your thighs. So I don't want you to go to a full squat. Where a full squat, we tend to send our hips back and our chest comes low. We wanna think about keeping upright through the front of the body. It's a little break at the knee, not a real deep squat. As we inhale, we're gonna bring the tailbone down towards the heels, the knees press out wide. Exhale, bring that band back towards your body as you stand. Keeping a little tension throughout the movement. Fully opening those hips at the top. Imagine you're pushing the ground away from you as you extend at the hips, extend at the knees. Last 2. On that last one, we're going to get low and hold it. Now from there, we're pulsing for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Bring it all the way back up. Roll those shoulders out. Shake it out a bit. All right, so we're gonna go into a little footwork there. So now this time, we're gonna drop it down, hold, and then from there, we're gonna lift the heels. Woo! Working on that balance, and lower. Lift, and lower. 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep those heels lifted. Stabilize those ankles. We're gonna pulse again for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Keep those heels up, extend, and lower down. Whew, good job. All right, so we're gonna walk our feet back in together. This time standing in an external rotation. So heels are in, toes are out. We wanna find that midline zip. So from the inner arches of the feet, inner thighs, inner ankles, everything is zipped up and lengthening. We're gonna go to some side bend. So we're bringing the arms overhead, reaching those knuckles towards the ceiling and feeling those shoulder blades anchor back onto the rib cage. So connecting with the body, connecting with the core. We're gonna start with a press of the hips over to the left. So as my hips start to lean left, my upper body's gonna start to reach to the right. So I wanna feel this line of opposition from my left hip all the way up through my right hand. I'm thinking lift and length, not collapsing over. I wanna reach and then bring it back into center. Press the hips to the right, upper body reaches left, and exhale, center. Beautiful. Really focus on that lift and that length as we reach, taking it side to side. And now from here, as we hold it, that hip is going to the left, upper body's reaching to the right. We're gonna draw that belly tight, anchor through the shoulders, and it's like you're trying to bump somebody with your hip. We're gonna do these little hip pulses for 8, 7, 6, keep reaching, keep lifting, last 3, 2, 1, and back to center. Now from there, press the hips over to the right. Upper body lengthens and reaches over to the left as we hold. We're gonna do that same pulse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful, bring it all the way down. Roll those shoulders out. And now from there, we're gonna take a nice big step out. So feet a little bit wider than the hips. We're still in that external rotation, but this time we've got this nice wide stable base. So this time the hips aren't moving, we're stabilizing from the pelvis down and lifting and moving through our upper body. So now it's more of a side bend, less of a reach. We wanna make sure that we're creating this frame with our arms and with the towel. So head stays centered in between the arms the whole time. We don't wanna just let the arms move side to side without the body. We also wanna make sure that we're keeping that sense of lift up and length versus just collapsing over, trying not to let the body rotate. So you wanna imagine you're stuck in between two planes of glass, your shoulders are down, and as you inhale, we're gonna lengthen over to the left. Exhale, my right arm pulls me back up to center. And then inhale, up and over to the right. Anchoring down through my left heel, my left hand pulls up to center. So really feeling that connection throughout the body. It's not just about that side bend, but it's how are you stabilizing through the feet? How are you stabilizing your pelvis? Are you staying nice and open in the front of the body? Inhale for length, over. Exhale, back up to center. All right, so we're gonna add to this. So this time, as we inhale and lengthen to the left, we're gonna pause right there. Bring that towel in to touch the body. And then we're gonna open back up, making sure that you open that right shoulder all the way before we lift. So now the breath work is gonna be inhale, over. Exhale, the arms come in. Inhale, extend back overhead. Exhale brings you back to center. Inhale and reach. Exhale and center. Inhale, lift. Exhale, center. Good. One more to each side like this. And lift. Last one. And lift. Beautiful. Let's take those arms down for just a second. We've got one more step that we're going to add to this. So just kind of building on the movement, layering it. So starting with that same setup, arms overhead. We're going to take it to the left first. As you inhale, reach. Now this time, as we bring that towel in towards the body, our right knee is going to bend. We're going to press through that right heel, extend the leg as we reach, open all the way back up first, and then lift back to center. So try not to rush the movements. Inhale, over. Exhale, bend that left knee, bring it into the body, and reach, open, and lift. And lift. 2. Beautiful. Let's go one more on each side. Last one. And center. All right. That was wonderful, guys. Okay, so from there, we're going to go into a little rotation or a little twist. So I say rotate, I say twist because we want to think about still keeping our hips steady. So we're not going to let our pelvis move with this first movement. We're going to stabilize through the legs. So really feeling, again, that lift through the inner arches of the feet, that lift through the inner thighs, and then that drop down through my tailbone is going to keep everything steady from my waist down. Now arms are out in front, and again, we don't want the arms to travel without you. Knuckles reaching forward, belly's tight, shoulders are wide. As we inhale, we're twisting to the left. So see how my arms stay in exactly the same place. I'm not letting them travel without me. And then back to center. Inhale, twist. Exhale, center. As we're rotating, imagine you're getting taller. We're creating space in between those vertebrae. As we rotate, we're creating lift and center. Last one. And back to center. Good. All right. So I'm going to walk my feet in just a little bit more. So this time, we're going to take it into a full rotation. So I'm going to bring that towel back up over my head. Knuckles are reaching up, shoulders are down. So now this time it's going to go all the way from the knuckles down to the tips of my toes. So as I rotate, I'm going to pivot on that outside foot, spiral my body, take my gaze all the way back to that left arm, and then back to center. So really feel that connection from the toes all the way up through the fingertips. Really feeling that spiral of the body. Bringing out that torso, really activating those transverse abdominals, those internal and external rotator muscles. Good. Last one. And back to center. Beautiful. Bring it all the way down. Okay. So from there, we're going to take it to the mat. We're going to start out with a little bit of kneeling work. So really opening up the psoas and the hip flexor. We're going to come down onto, let's have our right knee down first, our left foot forward, and we're in this 90-degree angle with that front leg. So I want you to walk that heel forward just a little bit, and then just work on your setup. How are you connected here? From that left heel back into that left sit bone, we want to feel those hips square up. So my left hip is drawing kind of down and back. My right hip is rotating forward. I still want to feel that sense of my tailbone reaching down, this lift through the belly. So we're going to start here. And again, it's not about this big range of motion about collapsing in that right hip. We want to think more of lifting, of lengthening, and drawing up through that belly, supporting that low spine. So as we inhale, we're just gonna reach forward a little bit and bringing those arms overhead. Feel that right glute activate as you lunge forward and then bring it back. Doesn't have to be big. It's about that lift and that reach. It's a very dynamic movement without being big. Feeling that inner thigh, that hamstring on the left leg. Make sure that knee stays steady. There's a lot of movements in Pilates where you can very easily go through the motion and not get a lot out of it, or you can really connect from your feet all the way up through the body to make it dynamic, make it work. Last one here. Reach. Let's hold that stretch. Knuckles reach to the ceiling, chest lifts, hold for 3, 2, 1, and then bring it back. Good, we're gonna stay in that position. This time we're gonna rotate. So same thing, staying connected through those sit bones, keeping the belly tight. As I lunge forward, just again, slightly, this time I'm gonna rotate towards the front leg. Inhale back to center. Beautiful, last 2. Still activating the backs of my thighs on both legs. Good. Last one. And then back to center. Let those arms rest. We're going to stay in this position. We have one more here. So I'm going to turn and face forward so you can see this one from this perspective. So this time, there's a little bit more balance involved here. This time the hips are staying from front to back. They're not moving. This time we're side bending. So as I inhale, I want to just let my hips tip towards the right a little bit as I lengthen over to the left and then back up to center. Hips reach. So just like that standing movement that we did, we're creating this opposition. The hips just gently lean into it. Still thinking lift, length. How do I anchor down through that right knee as I reach up through the knuckles of my right hand, creating opposition in the body. So it's, again, not just a collapse, but a very active movement. One more on each side. One more on each side, just one more. Beautiful. And back to center. Bring that arm down, bring the arms down, and sit back towards your heels. Here, let's just drop it into a quick child's pose. Good. And then as we rise up, we're gonna go right back into that same position, other side. So we wanna start with that right foot stepping forward. My left foot is back. I'm gonna face forward this time so you get just a different perspective of it. So again, we wanna think about connecting from our feet. So I'm pressing into the ball of my foot on that left leg, feeling that hamstring and glute activate, connecting down into the heel of my right foot, finding that hamstring glute connection here, and then squaring up my hips, making sure that my hips are rotated, it's stable, and that my sit bones are feeling connected. Tailbone is reaching down. We'll start with the arms right out in front of you. And remember, we're focusing more on lift and length than how far we lunge into that leg. The more you activate the back of the body, it creates support for the front of the body to open and release. Good. We've got 3 more here. Good, last 2. One last one. Beautiful. And you may feel a difference from one side to the other. This one's definitely where I hold a little extra tension. All right, so this next one, the arms are gonna stay right in line with the shoulders. This time we're rotating, so we're going towards that front leg. As we gently lean, we rotate. Again, keeping that lift in the low belly, not hyperextending at that hip flexor, but just giving enough movement to stretch it out, to open it up. Good. 4. Last 2. Last one. And back to center. Beautiful, guys. We've got one more here going into those side bends. So this time, arms go overhead. Remember, we're staying lifted, staying upright. We're just side bending over towards the right, letting the hips just gently lean to the left and back to center. 2, 3. Good, we've got 3 more here. Last 2. Last 1. Beautiful, bring those arms down. All right, so as we step back, we're gonna put the towel down at the end of our mat here. Let's just open those hips up, going back into a child's pose before we go into some back work. So we're gonna start taking it into some extension in just a minute, but first just let those knees open up. Let your hips sit back towards your heels, your forehead comes down to the mat. And then as we rise up onto all fours, let's take a minute and just work on that lower back. So do some cat-cows. As you inhale, let that tailbone lengthen up, the chest lifts, shoulders roll back. Exhale. As you scoop that low belly, tuck your tailbone. Inhale, extend. Two more like that. Last one. Beautiful, guys. All right, so let's lower down onto your belly. And as we set up here, I want to just take a minute and just kind of lift one leg at a time, keeping the legs straight. And what I want to feel is I don't want to roll off of my hip. I don't want to get this big movement. I want to think more about how can I reach back as I lift the leg, feeling my glutes activate without going into my lower back. And that's just going to open up the front of my hips. Just give me some space so that I can really think more about my pubic bone being my anchor, still thinking about the same principles that we worked on when we were standing. So the tailbone is lengthening down towards my heels. I still want to feel that sense of lift through the front of my body, through that low belly. And then I'm going to reach out and grab that band again. So I want to have it nice and wide. My shoulders are sliding down, and I want to keep that gaze at the floor right in front of me so that I'm not putting tension on my neck. I want to keep the back of the neck nice and long. We're just gonna go for 6 here. So I want you to start by connecting on the inhale. I'm gonna draw my belly button in, feel my shoulder blades draw back, and then as I exhale, I'm just gently lifting and lowering. Inhale, exhale, lift. And remember, it's not about how high you lift, it's about how are you connecting through the back of the body. How are you lifting just enough to feel that entire length of the posterior chain engaged, but without compromising the support from the front of the body? Last 2. Last 1. Beautiful, guys. All right, so now, from there, we're gonna keep the lower body down. So we wanna just keep our legs kind of more anchored and relaxed. We're gonna work the upper back a little bit more. So again, just going for 6. We're gonna lift the arms and then bend the elbows. Bring it behind your head. Exhale, reach through the knuckles as you press out. Connecting with the belly, using that breath to keep that low belly supported. We've got 3 more. Last 2. Last 1. Beautiful. Release that. Press back into your heels. Our hips back into your hips. Sit back into your heels. Going back into a little child's pose. Beautiful. We got some good back work in today. So now we're just going to flip over onto your back. Legs are going to extend, scoot down so that you can lay on your back, and then we'll reach up and grab that towel overhead. We're going to use it to assist our roll up. So again, using it to connect with the upper body a little bit more. So the arms start overhead, they come forward, just past the chest, the head lifts, So I'm really focusing on that rib hinge here. And then as I exhale, I want to keep a little tension as I come up and dive over, reaching towards my toes, softening the back of my neck so that I'm really reaching out through the crown of the head. Start to roll on the inhale. The exhale carries you back. Arms come back overhead. As those arms are reaching, try to soften the rib cage down so that we're not popping those ribs up and creating that sway in the back. We want to think nice soft ribs, nice long spine, arms come forward, head follows. Exhale, dive forward and reach and roll it back. We're going to go for 4 more here. Reach and roll it back. Last 3. And you'll notice they get a little bit easier as that lower back starts to release and open up. Last 2. Beautiful. One last one. And let's bring it all the way back onto your back. Okay. As we lay down, I want you to slide your heels in towards your hips and then bring that band or that towel just underneath your hips. So I want to walk my heels in. So I like to find that spot where I can reach down and maybe touch the back of my heels with my fingertips. If you have bad knees and that's not available to you, that's okay. So just bring the heels in as close to the body as you can and make sure that they're in the same alignment as your sit bone. So heel to sit bone, knees stay in line with those hips, making sure that they don't knock in or out. And then we're gonna reach down and grab that band again. And we wanna be just a little more narrow, so just kind of right outside of the hips. As you get a nice grip there, I want you to wrap the fingers around that band, knuckles reach down towards the heels, and the shoulder blades are down and back. So we're gonna work on a little spinal articulation here. Drawing that navel in towards your spine, that belly scoop, so you can see I'm not lifting yet, I'm just tipping my pelvis and really anchoring my lower back into the mat. And then I'm just gonna start to lower, lift my hips, 1 vertebrae at a time, focusing on that articulation, using that towel to continue to focus on the back of the body. So I'm feeling the knuckles reach down, feeling those shoulder blades lengthen down as I'm rising up. That little pull helps me connect with my back so I can really lengthen through the tip of the tailbone and open up through the front of my pelvis. Deep breath in here. As you exhale, slowly roll all the way back down and lengthen back to the tip of the tailbone. So important to always find your neutral here. We don't want to stay in that tuck position. We want to roll all the way back out into that lengthened spine. Deep breath in. Exhale. Roll and lift. Inhale at the top. Exhale. And lengthen it all the way back out. Beautiful. Let's go for 4 more. Keeping connected into that breath. Checking in with the neck and shoulders at the top. Inhale there. As you exhale, if there's little spots in your spine that feel a little sticky, and you might want to take an extra breath or 2 to really focus on getting those to just soften and release. Let's go for our last 2. And lengthen out. And one last one. Inhale at the top. Exhale. And lengthen down. Beautiful job, guys. All right, as we hold that, let's gently release that towel and just let the knees roll over to one side. And then back over to the opposite side. And back to center. And then let's bring that towel back out. So from there, We want to stay in that same position with the heels, so we're walking those heels in. We've got one more set of bridges we're going to do here. This time we're going to add a little bit of arm work though. So before we start to move, let's reach the knuckles up towards the ceiling, bringing that band right in front of you. Hands should be just slightly wider than the shoulders. Shoulders anchor back, so you can see how when I gently pull out on the towel, I want to widen through my collarbones. It's not this forceful pinch of my shoulder blades together. It's just enough to feel the collarbones drop back and feel the width of my scapula on the mat. So my shoulders are anchored back, my chest is wide. I'm going to start with that same bridge motion, so tucking my tailbone, slowly rolling up. Holding that bridge, I'm just going to stabilize my lower body and then bring that band or that towel to the thighs. Exhale as it rises just to chest height. How is the anchoring of my shoulder blades helping me release the back of my neck? Collarbones stay wide. Last two. Last one. Keep the arms right in front of the chest. Keep those hips centered. Now this time, can I take that band over my head without losing my rib to hip connection, without losing my shoulders? And then back to shoulder height. Hips stay steady. Check in with those knees. They should stay in line with your hips. Feet are still anchored through those tripods from the ball of the big toe to the ball of the little toe, down into your heels. We're feeling that whole foot. Last three. Last two. Last one. And slowly roll it back down. All right. We've got one more series here. So again, just going to do a little more of a active stretch here, a little knee roll side to side. All right, so from there, we're coming back to center. We're going to start out the same way. So the arms are right in front of the chest, knuckles are reaching up, shoulders are back and wide. We're going into our bridge again, so scoop that low belly, tuck your tailbone and roll up. Find that length through the back of the neck. And now this time as we hold, just like we did in standing, we're going to go one arm at a time. You're going to bend, let the elbow press into the mat. Exhale as the arm extends. Inhale, bend the elbow. Let's go one more on each side. Open up those hips. It's easy to start to relax here. Good. Arms are straight. Check in with those heels. Check in with that lift through the front of the body, that length through the tip of the tailbone. This time we're going to do both elbows. They're going to bend. Bring it into the chest. Exhale, pull out as you push away. 2, 3, 4, last 2. Last one. Press and lower all the way down. Beautiful. Bring the arms overhead. Release that towel. And then just turn onto your side. And as we turn to the side, you're going to bring that top knee forward. That bottom arm reaches forward. And then we're just going to peel open. So just bringing that arm back, spiraling the body again, taking the gaze to that backhand. Bring it back to center. Let's turn to the other side. So you're just going to start by laying on your side, bringing that top knee down to the ground, bottom arm reaches forward, stack your body, and then peel that top arm back. Taking that gaze back towards the fingertips. Beautiful. And then back to center. We'll come on up, and that is it for today. We'll be doing Pilates classes twice a week from now on, so stay tuned.